Hello friends, welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie and today we're going to be setting up the month of December in my agenda planner. We'll decorate all the monthly pages in a holiday theme, so come play with me. And I've got these washi tapes here all ready to go, along with this roll of washi tape stickers I got from the washi tape shop, this Planny Thing sticker book, and these rub-on transfers that I'll be using. Okay guys, let me just lay down some wax paper to work out this month's design. I picked up these rub-on transfers from Joann's last week. I was in there looking around at their Black Friday deals and saw these and thought that would be a super fun monthly spread with this holiday rub-on transfer theme. So I thought I would grab them and see what we can come up with. If you've never used rub-on transfers before, they are pretty great in a lot of ways, specifically if you need to write over them. Because once they're on the page, they kind of become like the paper versus like a clear sticker or something where, you can't really write on top of it in any way. And so if it encroaches in some functional areas, it can be kind of a hassle. But rub-on transfers, those become almost like ink on the paper when you transfer them over. I really like them for that, specifically for planning. But I also think that they take a little bit more time, as you can see, because I am hand cutting out the individual items that I think I'm going to be using here and just setting things up. That takes a bit of time, and then also to actually transferring them onto the page is a little less straightforward than sticking down a sticker. So there's some pluses and some minuses with working with them, but it is fun to try new things every once in a while. So if you've never tried them, I highly recommend doing so at least once and seeing how you like them. I will say that these ones were a little bit more hard to work with than the ones I've gotten previously at the Dollar Tree, for example. I don't know if it was just that they took a lot more to move over, a lot more rubbing, and were a little more temperamental that way. But you'll see as we go through that they're just a little bit, tougher to work with than some of the other sets I've had in the past. That said, the idea of the rub-on transfer still holds, and they come out really nice in the end. It just took a little more effort than I've experienced in the past. And okay, so since I have the pieces somewhat cut up, I can start positioning them where I think they're going to go here on the spread. I usually use wax paper because I'm using stickers and it allows me to pre-plan out what I want to do before I actually put them on the page. Not so much needed in this case because of the rub-on transfer still having the backer on them. So I'm just kind of getting a feel for where things are going to go, but not necessarily, needing that wax paper to do so. However, I will be adding in a few stickers here from this washi tape roll that I mentioned from the washi tape shop. This was an older roll, like maybe 2 years old or so, so I'm not sure if it'll still be in the shop, but if it is, I will have a link down below along with any other items that you're seeing here in case you are interested. I'm also going to be bringing in some washi tape. I tried a couple of options, but I think these are the two I want to go with. I didn't pull this green, I don't think, in the beginning. It's, it's like not quite on the blue side, but not quite on the green side either. It's walking the line, which I think works with this, but I wish I had had the exact color that I wanted that would really match up with the teal tone that you saw there in the rub-on transfer leaves. There's a lot of more blue-green tones in there, so I went with what I had, which was closest, but maybe, it could have been a little bit closer in color. However, there is plenty of green, like true green, in these washi tape stickers that ties a little bit better to the color, as well as we go through some of the quotes and stuff I pull in have a bit more of that green tone as well, versus the bluish tone of the green, if that makes sense. So technically, I was focusing in more on a 3-color theme because of the shades of green and blue that I'm working with, and then the red as being kind of like the big pop of color. So I cut down those washi tape strips and put those down at the bottom. I'll probably add some more of those strips in other places, but I didn't want it to be too wide. I really wanted it just to be a little extra bit of color and print. So I cut it down into thirds, each of those washi tape strips, and layered those up. I'm in the Plan Anything Christmas Fun sticker book now, which again is another old sticker book. And I'm using these ornament stickers that I had in my stash. I really like them. I had used almost all of the red ones up, specifically the larger ones. So I did try to make one by coloring a lighter pink tone one from the booklet with a Tombow marker. I think that actually turned out fairly good. You can kind of see it there. It's that extra large one there on the right. That's in red. It's a little bit rougher than the other ones, but I think it does the job. I just wanted to have a little bit more of that red color. And then I used up all the greens too, and none of the other greens that she had in there were a really good fit, so I pulled in some bluer tones that matched better with the leaves in the rub-on transfers, but not as much with the washi tape. So you can really see the distinction between the greens and the blues now that I have some of those elements on the spread for you to see the contrast, which is why this ended up being more of like a 3-color theme versus a 2-color. Okay, let's go ahead and start moving things over. So you're going to see the process here for putting those rub-on transfers to the page. You basically just need to remove the backer and leave the item right where you want it. Once you pretty much touch the page and have it kind of stick down, that's where it's got to be. There is some room for adjustment in the beginning before you remove the backer, but once the backer's gone, just realize that you kind of are committed to your spot at that point. And I've moved over to the Merry Christmas quote that came from the other set of rub-ons and put that into the sidebar. That went pretty smoothly. I'm going to also white out the boxes here on the right side that are empty for the end of the month so that I can add in those stickers that I had planned for there and just have it be nice and clean. I already moved in some of those washi tape strips that I had left over from cutting them down, and I am putting those sporadically throughout the month. This is my scheduling monthly. I have a few monthlies in my setup, and so this one here is mainly just for events, appointments, and things. So I have a lot more leeway because I don't have a ton going on and can put some decor in and amongst the functional space without there being a real problem. So I'm going to do that. As you can see, I have some florals there, a rub-on transfer there that's going to go in on the side, and then I have one for the bottom that encroaches a little bit there into the Tuesday 31st day there of the month. This one was super tricky when I was crossing the pages with the rub-on. With a sticker, it's usually pretty straightforward. You just stick it down, cut it apart. I should have cut it apart, I think, before I committed to the page, because I think I would have got a cleaner look. But you'll see how I handled that separation. I ended up just kind of tearing it apart, and then the parts that were covering up in the holes, I used the edge of the little stick that was included to clean those out. It ends up being kind of like a fine almost like a tissue paper element anywhere where there is no backing, if that makes sense. So it can be removed fairly easily, but it's also sort of sticky. I don't know. It's a very interesting material, but working with it on the edges and on the holes was something new for me. So I had to figure out what I was doing as I was going. But like I said, the edge of the wooden stick that was included with this set worked really nicely with the cleaning up of the holes, and then I ripped apart the page just down the seam, and that worked out pretty good. But again, I think it would have been a little bit cleaner had I used a pair of scissors or something before I committed it, or even maybe after. Just FYI on that. So I've moved over the third floral cluster here and whited out some of the lines behind it as well, just for a little bit of a cleaner look. And now I'm adding in a few other elements that weren't part of the original to spread that color around, specifically that teal color that's only in the larger cluster at the bottom. So I wanted to have that in all of the clusters if I could, to keep that colorway going all the way throughout the spread. And I did cut some of these down ahead of time just to see if I could, use them like I do stickers, where I cut them down and make them go farther that way. And it actually worked really good. I ended up cutting apart those teal branchy elements into multiple areas, which you'll see as we go through. So they can be used a lot like a sticker as far as cutting and, trimming and moving things around. And the opaqueness of them is really great too, so that you can blend things together and make it look somewhat seamless versus things overlapping like in a clear sticker. And I've moved over a majority of the ornaments stickers now. I don't know if I put them exactly where I put them on the wax paper. I was just trying to look for places that I thought I might have some events. I don't really know what's going to be happening in December. It's kind of a crazy month, and we're in a new place. So I have a couple of birthdays in there that I definitely had dates for. But other than that, we're just going to see what happens. Play it by ear. So I just put some of those circles in and around for marking out maybe bigger days where hopefully I'll have something going on. Days that I think I might plan some special events or, like holiday type bucket list items. So we'll see how those get filled out as the month goes through. And I used a trimming there at the top corner for a little bit more oomph over there, and am now adding in some of those teal leaves like I mentioned, just so that it's spread around the spread. And some of those were just extras from the sticker sheet, and then some of them were cutaways from one bigger piece. And now I'm drawing in some strings for these ornaments. I did want them to look like they were hanging down into the month. So some of them I'm going to have stopping at the washi tape, and then some of them I'm going to have go all the way up to the top. We'll see how that goes. I kind of like the look of it. I used a fine liner for that, just kind of simple line, and hopefully it doesn't become a problem when I'm trying to fill out these boxes with events and stuff, but it should be fine. Like I said, I don't have much going on usually. I wanted to have a little bit more color up here at the top, so I'm pulling in just some of these random ornaments that I saw here on the washi sticker roll and brought those in the center. I didn't really have a rhyme or reason for it. I just thought that having them coming down from the top would work, and yeah, they added a little something extra. I think we're going to move on to the next spread. This is my monthly overview / monthly goals spread. It's kind of a combination of a couple of things I have in my shop. I'm going to pull in some of that blue and green through the warm wishes quote pieces there, as you can see from that rub-on transfer. There, the colors are a little bit more green on one side, or one word, and then a little more blue. And you can see how I'm hoping that that will help tie in like the washi tape color, but also the teal tones in those floral clusters. And I'm just going to get the washi tape ready so I can bring some of that in. Just kind of get into thirds and we will layer it up here. Just looking for good places for layering, since my monthly goals sheet I do use pretty fully, so I don't want to put too much in those boxes. It's definitely one where I am more careful with the decor that goes into that space. So I decided to cut this floral in half, giving it a little bit less of a profile there and maybe putting it down at the bottom, kind of in the middle to take up less space. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I tend to put things down in threes and in triangles, using a bit of a method I always kind of have in the back of my head when I'm doing these, but just something to think about. Just side, side, center. If you put your clusters in groups of threes or fives, and you kind of use that same method, side, side, center, then if you have five, you can do side, side again. It really helps you balance out a spread, but keep things looking interesting, versus just doing something that's even Steven, if you will, or mirrored, where it's like exactly the same on one side as the other in multiples of, 2. Just a couple of little tips that I just do automatically, but I'm thinking that maybe not everybody knows to approach things like that. So think about that as you are setting up your own spreads, and maybe get some ideas for how you might change things up if you're not doing that already. I've brought in a few more of those washi stickers and kind of made a couple of clusters there on the washi tape. And now I'm thinking I'm going to need some numbering circles or boxes for my monthly goals area. So I am back into the Plan Anything sticker book, looking at those ornaments and realizing I really don't have a lot of colors to choose from. So I ended up bringing in that super soft green that wasn't really a good match for anything, but I was scrounging for appropriately sized and colored ornaments, so we'll use those up there on the monthly. And okay, let's go ahead and start moving things over to the spread. I definitely want these to set behind the washi tape so they look like they're sitting on it versus being kind of floating on top. So I'm adjusting things now, trying to make sure everything looks nice and even. We'll move in some of these other washi tape areas. I think I'm going to move this guy right here onto the center of this checklist. Will give me a little bit of a smaller checklist at the bottom of the page if I want some more space, but also to help balance out the spread. I'm really not sure what I'm going to want to do for my monthly goals this month. It's going to be a really busy month for me. I am planning on doing Planmas this year. I need to get it together though, because time is already just flying by and there's a lot to do. So I hopefully will be able to give you guys 12 full back-to-back days of videos that will help you guys get ready for the new year and also maybe some fun holiday projects as well. So stay tuned for that. I will announce it probably in my flip through video when I do my premiere and have a live chat. That's usually the first Sunday of the month. I think in this case it's going to be the second Sunday since the first Sunday is the first, and I won't have enough time to finish out my spreads to do it on the first. So I will do it on the 7th. And then I'll announce. But usually I do some sort of plan miss in the month of December. I'm thinking this year it's going to be the 12 days before Christmas. I have done it the 12 days after Christmas. That's always fun, but I think this year it's going to be before. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully you guys can join me on that. I always look forward to doing a plan miss with you guys and just sharing the setups that I have ready to go for the new year. Give you guys maybe some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to share with you, as well as maybe even some new haul videos or something. We'll see. Have some ideas, but we'll see how it all comes together. So I've moved a majority of those items over. You can see again that I ripped the rub-on transfer at the top to separate it. This one came out a bit worse than the one on the previous spread. So again, I think either cutting it down or something would be a better move on that. I'm also bringing in some more of those teal leaves into the clusters without. In that rub-on transfer pack, there are 2 sheets of the same, which was great because I really needed those extra pieces for the majority of the spreads I was doing. These clusters were somewhat few and far between, so I have 3 on the monthly. Actually, I only have 2 here so that I can have 1 more on the very back page that we'll be setting up. And that was it as far as this exact design of floral cluster. There were some other ones, as you can see there in the top right, but they just looked a little different. So I wanted to keep the look and feel as uniform as possible if I could. And now I am cleaning out the holes where the rub-on overlapped. And this time I'm using just the point of my tweezers. I think that made it a little bit cleaner. And as I'm going, I'm kind of cleaning them off and rubbing that excess off screen. I'm also using one of the backers behind them as I lay them down and as I clean them out, just to make sure that none of the transfer goes onto the desktop. That was the easiest way I could find to work it, and that worked out really nicely. For the other holes that are using stickers, I just clean those out with my precision cutter per usual. And that went fairly smoothly. I also am going to draw those hanging lines for the ornaments here on this spread as well. Since I have these 2 kind of lined up on the monthly goals page, it definitely got a little bit hairy scary there at the top. So I just doubled them up so it looks like there's 2 coming down, kind of hanging almost on top of each other. I'm also going to bring in some of those teal leaves here in this bottom cluster, just like I did on the one on the side. Again, just so that it is everywhere on the spread and makes that repetition. So now I'm on the back page of my month, and this is one of 2 pages. I have a social stats page, which you're seeing here, and then I also have a social schedule page, which is currently pre-planned with what I want to do for the month. And I like to keep things kind of interesting and change things up. So I'm not going to share that page with you, but we'll go back and finish the design on that page off camera. So this will be a full spread in the end, but for now we're just going to set up this one page. And because of that, I ended up cutting that cluster in half, kind of in a weird way, but so that I could go across the spine onto the social schedule page with that same cluster. And I think that'll work nicely. There's a lot less decorative space on these more functional spreads that I have, so I'm just looking for places where I think I can add some decor. Mainly in this last week of empty days. I do have 6 weeks on this monthly in case there's one of those months where I need the 6 weeks. But this one here is going to end in 5, so I can white out that whole spot and have some extra room for decor. What I'm going to add in here is the last quote, which says Happy Holidays, but it's a little tight to fit it in. So I'm going to first put in happy, and then I cut holidays in half. We'll see if I can get that to fit nicely into this space. I was thinking to do it like this, but then I kind of changed my mind. You can see I just caught a little nick of the edge of the D when I pulled it up. When you do these rub-on transfers, do be mindful not to stack them. Do them one at a time. I've told you guys this before in other rub-on setups, and sometimes I forget my own advice, and so I almost ended up putting half of that D on top of the rub-on transfer. The plastic part, not the actual rub-on. So take your time, do one at a time so that you don't make mistakes like that. I also moved the holidays kind of in a different way than I thought I was going to, but I think it worked out better by connecting the I to the D and just kind of staggering it there in the corner. So that looks pretty good. I will end up wrapping this up, but I looked at it after I was done and I was like, I didn't add any washi tape. I didn't add any of the washi stickers. So I'll probably add some of those in off camera as well. So it will look different when you guys see it again in the flip through. I was getting a little bit fatigued at this point and started forgetting what I was doing. I just kind of wanted to get her done. And so I definitely was going through and just using those rub-ons and trying to make it look cute and colorful, but again, not really thinking it through 100%. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up some more of the edges. I'm using a white gel pen for that, and that's going to pretty much do it for us, friends. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch, and think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you are watching this on Thursday, and we will see you next time. Bye!